Now, I'm sure a lot of you have come across the Brooks Ghost before because it is a very popular neutral daily trainer that's been designed for road running, and I dare say some of you have probably run in it or you know someone that does, but this is a Ghost with a difference because this is the all new road to trail shoe from Brooks Running, the Ghost Trail. Now, I've got to be honest, I've never been a massive fan when running brands take a shoe that's clearly been developed and designed for running in that hard, repetitive environment of road running. They slap a different rubber outsole on it with a deeper lug, and now it's all of a sudden become a trail running shoe. Now, I'm not sure that is the case with these, but let's dive into the video and find out. So it is first impressions time here at the channel again. It's always an exciting time when we get our hands on a brand new running shoe that is yet to release, because that gives us the time to get them on our feet, take them out for a decent first run, find out how they feel, fit and perform, and hopefully that information is going to help you guys at home. So thanks for tuning in again. I'm Lloyd Purvis and this is Run for Adventure, but let's start off first with some facts and figures on the new Brooks Ghost Trail. So like I've already mentioned, this is a new road to trail shoe that utilises the very popular neutral road running platform, the Brooks Ghost, and they've made a few subtle tweaks just to help it handle that trail environment a bit better. Now, it's due for release here in the UK very soon on the 31st of October, and it's going to retail for £135. I think you'll agree it is a good looking shoe in this bleach sand rabbit bluefish colourway, and yep, you heard me correctly, that is the description of this colour on the Brooks website, and it's not me just throwing out random words. And I quite often wonder how these running brands come up with the names for their colours, but I honestly think that bleach sand rabbit bluefish is the best I've heard today. But if you're not a fan of this colourway, then don't worry, because it is available in 3 different colour options in men's and 3 completely different colours in women's. Weight wise, my pair in a UK 9.5 tips the scales at 325 grams. So it is a pretty hefty running shoe, and as I hold them here in my hands, it feels like a lot of the weight is coming from the midsole and outsole. So I'm really not sure about the whole balance of the running shoe. Obviously, this could all change once I've got them on my feet and I'm outside running. So I guess we're going to find out later when we lace them up and take them out for a test run. Construction wise, just like all the Brooks shoes that I've ever run in, it looks like a well put together running shoe, using some real premium fabrics and materials, and everything seems to be finished off well. The bulk of the upper utilises Brooks' soft, breathable and comfortable air mesh, and that's to give you high levels of comfort and security. Unfortunately, it is just a standard tongue design in the shoe, and I've got to be honest, I'd have much rather seen a gusseted tongue, as this is a road to trail shoe, but I dare say that tongue design has crossed over from the road platform. However, there is a decent level of padding in that tongue, so levels of comfort should be good. Very similar to the road version of the Ghost, we get this slightly flared heel design in the trail shoe, but we do get the addition of this sort of cord heel loop, and also we've got a plush level of padding around the ankle collar and in the heel, so that should be nice and comfortable out on the run. We've also got some 3D printed overlays on the upper, working from the heel along the midfoot and wrapping around the toe box. And speaking of the toe, Brooks have also worked in a decent level of upfront protection from a substantial toe bumper. And then probably the biggest change we're seeing in these when you compare them to the Brooks Ghost 17 road shoe is the addition of this trail tack green rubber outsole with its 3mm lug depth. Now, that's been developed to offer good levels of grip and traction on a big mix of different terrains, no matter whether they're wet or dry. And Brooks have also worked in some additional flex grooves just to help with flexibility when you're running the shoe out on the trails. And I actually think these have turned up just at the right time, because recently I tested out another road to trail running shoe on the channel from a different brand. So it was the H1 from Mount to Coast, and those shoes perform really well out on their first run. So it's going to be really interesting comparing the two performances of the shoes, because they've been designed to do a very similar job, and that is exactly what we're going to do now. So I'm going to head off, get my running kit on, I'm going to get these laced up, and we're going to see you guys out on the road and the trails of Cornwall. Okay, so the plan for today's test run is to do a similar thing like we did in the Mount to Coast H1. So this is a road to trail shoe, so we're going to do an element of road and pavement, and then we're going to get on the trails as well, just to give the Brooks Ghost a thorough testing. So far we've done 2.5 miles uphill, and shock horror, it's windy in Cornwall again, and that was a pretty tough couple of miles, but we're just about to head out onto the towns and pick up some trails now. As far as the shoes are going, like all the Brooks shoes I've ever run in, they are fitting true to size. I think Brooks are one of the more consistent running brands on the market, and I don't think I've ever had to go up or go down in size. So this UK 9.5 is fitting like a glove. Really nice, comfortable lockdown around my midfoot because of that soft padded tongue, and a really good hold in the heel. So that is the long road section of the test run done, and you'd expect the Brooks Ghost Trail to perform well in that environment because, you know, it is built off a road running platform. But now we're going to get out on the towns. We should have some gravelly trail, some more compacted trail, some soft sand, and some sections of rocky trail to test the shoe out a bit more thoroughly. So let's get on the towns, let's get this test run done. Blustery run today. This is super challenging. Strong headwind out on the towns. Wowzers. It is good to be sheltered from that wind. That has been a tough run. I think the wind's gusting even stronger than the other day, so I was hanging on for dear life coming across the towns there, but we're just coming up to 7 miles, so we're going to hit our target sort of 7.5, 8 miles by the time we get home. And the Brooks Ghost Trail has performed well. I wouldn't say I'm noticing any sort of massive differences compared to the road version. I think it's great that the brand have lowered the heel offset to an 8mm instead of the sort of more traditional 10 of the Ghost, but I personally think they should have gone a little bit further. Maybe a 6mm would have been nice. I also think that might have saved a bit of weight when it comes to the overall weight of the shoe, but the run's gone well. It's handled all the different types of terrain well, so let's get back to the studio and then we'll tell you all about how the new Brooks Ghost Trail has performed on its test run. Well, that definitely felt a lot tougher than it should have done, thanks to the crazy Cornish wind we had out there today. And I didn't actually have a look at the weather forecast before I headed out on the run, so I quickly jumped on when I got home, and they were forecasting 50-mile-an-hour winds, so no wonder it was tough going at times. But I suppose we got it done, and it's good training in the legs, and I actually managed bang on 7.5 miles in the new Brooks Ghost Trail today, and you know, it was a enjoyable, comfortable run. Now, I've said this many times on the channel before, but it really does seem that Brooks make a quality and very comfortable upper construction, and it's no different in these. So they just felt really comfortable on my feet straight out of the box, and for me, just the right level of padding around the ankle collar and in the heel, so feels nice and plush, but it's not over padded or bulky that it affects heel hold in a negative way. And in fact, the whole upper just felt very secure, and I had 0 foot movement inside the shoe. However, I would still like to see the tongue gusseted in the Ghost Trail, because I always think that's the best option when it comes to a running shoe that's designed for running on the trails, or come to think of it, any running shoe. I just think it gives you a bit more of a secure lockdown around your midfoot. Now, this tongue is nicely padded. It felt really comfortable across the top of my foot. I couldn't feel the laces pulling through it, but I think I did have a little bit of tongue movement, because by the time I got home after the run, that tongue had slipped round a bit, and I've got to be honest, I'm not a massive fan of this, but you know, it didn't cause me any issues. The DNA Loft midsole gave me a nice comfortable ride today, although I would say the levels of sort of bounce or energy return weren't that high from this midsole foam, especially when I compare it to some of the other shoes out there on the market. But definitely a nice level of cushioning underfoot, and because it's not super soft, when I did pick up any more sections of technical trails, the shoes felt nice and planted and stable. Now, don't get me wrong, you can see from the footage, we didn't run any super techie trails today. It was all pretty chilled out stuff, but there was a couple of times where I came across some rockier sections and the shoes coped with it okay. And I actually think today's route was the perfect sort of test run for the Ghost Trail because, you know, at the end of the day, this is a shoe that's designed to go from the road to light trails, and that's exactly what we did today. So the midsole felt comfortable on all the different types of terrain, but it also seemed to offer me a good level of underfoot protection when I did pick up those rockier sections. Now, I think that just comes down to the depth of cushioning you've got under your forefoot, because I'm pretty sure Brooks haven't worked in any kind of rock plate system into the construction. So one, the midsole was comfortable across all the terrain. I also felt nice and planted and stable, and I got good levels of protection underfoot. And last but not least, the new addition that kind of turns this shoe into a road to trail shoe, and that is the Trail Tack green rubber outsole with its 3mm lug depth. And I gotta say, I was actually pleasantly surprised with the performance I got when it comes to grip and traction. So obviously we had lots of soft sand to cope with, we had some gravelly loose trails, also lots of the pathways that we ran today were covered in wet slippery leaves, and obviously we had a good few miles of the hard stuff tarmac. And like I said, this outsole performed well on all of it. Now obviously this shoe has been designed for road to trail, and when I say trail I mean light trails. So you know, if you are the type of runner that's going to be spending lots of miles going out in wet muddy conditions, then maybe with only a 3mm lug depth on the outsole, this isn't the best shoe for you. So rounding up, and just like all the Brooks shoes I've ever run in, all the way back to my first pair of glycerins about 15, 16 years ago, the Ghost Trail felt comfortable out there, it performed well, this nice plush upper, well cushioned midsole, and it felt like one of those running shoes that is solid and dependable, you know, a running shoe you could rely on. But the big question is, you know, did it excite me? Did it put a big smile on my face while I was running? And I suppose the answer to that is not really. Now, don't get me wrong, like I said, it was a comfy shoe and I've got no real negatives to say, but when I put my feet in it and I laced it up, I didn't get that exciting feeling that I get from some of my other running shoes. However, if you are a bit of a Brooks running shoe fan and you're looking for that hybrid shoe that's going to take you from your doorstep all the way to the trails and soak up long sections of road along the way, then I dare say you would really enjoy the fit, feel and performance of the new Ghost Trail. And the good news, like I mentioned earlier, you haven't got long to wait because they're going to be available on the Brooks website on the 31st of October. So there you have it folks, my first impressions after today's test run on the new road to trail running shoe from Brooks. But it'd be really great to hear your thoughts guys. So, you know, what do you think about the brand bringing out a trail version of their very popular neutral daily training shoe? So make sure you get active in the comments below, let us know your thoughts. Also, if you have enjoyed the video and you found it helpful in any way, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe because it really is a big help to the channel. But while you're there, don't forget to hit that bell icon as well, because then you'll be notified when we upload any new enjoyable running content. But for now guys, thanks for watching, thanks for supporting, it's always appreciated, and as always, stay safe and keep on running. But it's not overly soft, so should feel nice and planted and stable when you do pick up the more uneven ground. And also, there's something else, but I just can't remember it right now. The DNA Loft midsole offered me a nice comfortable ride today. But on the trail shoe, we do get this handy little addition of a heel pull loop.